Uh, welcome to the Dr. Dare Show live on Facebook and YouTube. Welcome to Friday night. When you come in, check in, let me know how your week has been. Share this video, like it. We have our special guest, author and life coach, Tyrell Starks. Let's heal. He's going to talk to us about himself and his experiences. And guess what? This here. So nobody's on yet, so they take a little while. So.
Right.
But yeah, so how's your week been, Tyrell?
It has been eventful, I will say. I had some t-shirt orders I still got some t-shirt orders that I got to do, and I was doing my is it Angela? Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Angela.
Been doing all of that stuff, everything that I usually do, kind of in my routine. So my week has been very productive. I usually have productive weeks, and I have to kind of unplug every now and again and just turn everything off and force myself to not pick up a phone or a computer or, advertise or post something else.
Is that hard for you? Hey, Angela, how has your week been so far? Even though I just saw you in Zumba class, how how's your week been so far? Your work week? Sorry, Tyrell, I cut you. Tyrell, I
No,
cut
you
you off.
good. I wasn't sure if you do it. So did they come in and talk, and then but yeah, no, I mean, it's not hard for me to turn it off. I feel like if it was in the beginning, because I felt like in the beginning that if I stopped doing something would go missed, or there wouldn't be, something would be undone. And I hate to have things, once I started, incomplete. No matter how long it takes me to get it done, I hate for stuff to be incomplete. But now I'm like, nope, I ain't doing it. They say, oh, I'll text you, or I sent that order in. And I'm like, well, I'll get to it.
Yeah. I know it's hard to shut your brain off when you have those ruminating thoughts that just
Yeah.
keep. You got to do this. Did you do this? Like I was telling you before we got on this call, I started writing another book last week. It's going to be shorter than the one that's with the publishers right now, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I love it.
Yeah. I mean, because it's like your calling, you're fulfilling your calling. And I
Mhm.
think the one thing that, when I see people pass away, I always think two things. I hope they were able to find and at least tap into their calling at some point in their life. And
Mhm.
then number two, I hope these people were able to experience unconditional love at some point in their life.
Yeah.
So whenever I see somebody has passed away, I'm always like, I hope they were able to, figure out their calling. And I hope that they were able to have somebody who, outside of who's expected to love them unconditionally, like parents, children, stuff like that, they were able to actually find somebody who loved them unconditionally.
Yeah. That is because if not, you have a hard life, right? You're constantly
Yeah.
struggling trying to find that thing that's supposed to make you happy, or that passion that. And that's why I tell people you don't want to ever look back over your life and regret that you didn't do something out of fear or out of um yeah, fear is the biggest thing, because I think we had a show one night, and it was just a random question that I threw up and was like, what is everybody's biggest thing that they felt like was holding them back in life? And majority people, first thing was fear.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
fear speaking in front of people and all of that stuff. And I'm surprised I'm doing it because I have anxiety like crazy, but I challenge myself all the time to get in front of crowds and just do it.
Yeah.
So
I have a big stage fright too. And people, meeting me and interacting with me, you would never think that.
I
But
wouldn't have.
I hate talking in front of people.
Really.
But I know, and I've been shown, like I was telling you before, I've been shown that that's my calling. I'm supposed to be standing in front of people. That's why Let's Heal was laid on my life, because I feel like that's what I was put here for.
Hmm.
Not to necessarily heal people, but provide them with the tools and the path and the know-how to do it themselves. So here
Love
I
that.
am.
Yes. Working on your calling. I just did I don't know if you watch my 5 tips videos, and I just
I
did.
do watch those 5-tip videos because they intrigued me to do my certain number of tips. I was like, look at Fred getting his tips in.
But I got inspired by seeing somebody else's, so I
Right.
was like, oh, I like that. But I did one on calling and like not trying to avoid your calling and not letting people talk you out of your calling, because I think a lot of people are so worried about what people are going to say about them that they don't do. And so when you made that point of somebody dying or passing away and not kind of fulfilling that passion or finding that unconditional love, that kind of stuck and resonated in my head. Like, yeah, that's important. But
It is.
unfortunately,
Sometimes people will project their fears onto you.
right.
And I think about that because when I was when I was married,
Mhm.
I used to drive school bus in Chicago.
Mhm.
And of course, you know, with school bus, you have to have a CDL.
Uh-huh.
And I saw that Marta was hiring here because I wanted to move back to Atlanta. And I was like, oh, I'm going back to Atlanta. I'm gonna drive the bus there. And I had a cousin of mine who was like, you're not gonna be able to transfer your CDL. You got to take that test all over again. He was like, I'm not dealing with that test. I'm afraid of that test. And I said, you're projecting your fears on me and trying to convince me not to do what I want to do. So I'm not
Mhm.
understanding. But I did it anyway. Because I'm the kind of person, like, you can't tell me something that I can't do without me trying it at least. At least I can say I tried it.
Good. Because what if you hadn't have done that, listening to him? A-
Exactly.
And was it a big deal? Like he was making it, or was it?
No, when I got to Atlanta, all they did was switch my license over and gave me my CDL here. They was like, is everything still the same except it's short? Fine, go ahead.
Wow. See, and that's why I tell people you can't listen to everybody because they'll have you not doing what you're supposed to do because you're listening to them. Hey,
Scared
Karen.
life. Hey, Karen.
You know Karen Tyrell. You remember Karen from Zumba. A lot of these are my Zumba students.
Oh my gosh. I know. Well, hey, y'all. I'm sure y'all ain't seen me forever if you haven't seen me, but I'm still here.
So, welcome to the Dr. Dear Show live and on Facebook and YouTube. We usually start at 8:40 to give people time to come in from work or working out or all of those things. So, when you come in, make sure you click like and share and let me know how your week has been. Karen, how's your week been so far? I know mine has been, it went by kind of fast this week.
Hmm.
I keep adding different projects. I got a videographer guy texting me right now, and I'm like, no, because I'm working on a new music video and writing another book and waiting for the other book. Did you do a lot of pre-sales on this one, Tyrell?
No, you know what? I went straight to Amazon.
Okay, good.
Did it all, like, I didn't go through a publisher because I wanted to see the I'm the kind of person I want to be able to do things myself. Hey Karen, happy to see you. Well, I can't see you, but happy to see that you're tuning in. Um, I like to do a lot of stuff myself so that I can see how it's done. Um,
Okay.
so I went through that whole, process of writing and publishing and redoing and sending back and resubmitting and changing this and changing that. So then that way, when I do go to a publisher, I can say, yeah, I'm not going to be okay with that because that's not how that works. Because that's how people
Uh-huh.
get sold to. I
Right.
understand businesses aren't in the business to make money, but
Right.
what you're not going to do is get my money easily if I can do this myself.
Right. And I don't know if you know of I know I'm mispronouncing this. It's Fiverr, Fiverr. They have a lot of
So
like
Fiverr.
Fiverr. See,
Yeah.
screwing the name up. They have a lot of what do I say it?
Independent contractor people who do,
Yes,
yeah.
who does a lot of editing, and that's where I
Mhm.
sent my book for a while until I was done and I felt like I was finished with all the
So
editing.
was that expensive or
Not really, because I would do it like I would just find like a person that wasn't, I mean, they just needed to proofread it really. I had already basically proofread it, but I would just send it to them to see if they could find anything. And so I would do each chapter and it would be like $20 for them
how long
to
I need to go on Fiverr to find me because I hate writing.
yeah.
I can talk all day long, but writing, number one, I ain't got time. And number two, I'm just like, yeah, I love this. I can talk all day long. So if we can talk on the phone or I can send you a tape recorder of certain things, I don't want to do all the writing. I don't want to do all the typing. I know that you can do the voice to text thing, but then
Oh yeah, yeah,
read while you're doing the voice to text just in case Siri or whoever decides to autocorrect you. And I was like, no, that's not what I said now.
yeah. Right.
I need you to
right.
say, I need you to write what I'm saying. So,
Yeah, but I used it a lot. I used them a lot at the beginning, and then once it started shaping in the way that I wanted to, then I got a publisher,
yeah,
and that's where it is now. But I'm finished all that process. But it is 8:40, so I am not gonna keep us on here long. We are going to let Tyrell of LetsHeal share his story. You know how people come on later. So the
yeah.
first thing that I looked up, Tyrell, was the word heal.
Mm-hmm.
And so the definition that I found in Webster Dictionary, let's see, says definition of heal transitive verb is to make free from injury or disease, to make sound or whole, heal a wound. Why can I read? To make well again, to restore health, heal the sick, and to cause an undesirable condition to be overcome. So uh, tell us what it means to you. I know that I think it just ran all together,
Well, yeah, I mean,
but
so okay, so here's the thing. When Let's Heal, when I first started Let's Heal,
hmm,
this was like 2016, 2017, something like
okay,
that.
okay,
I was going through situations with people and I was seeing that there was a lot of people, this one particular person who kind of helped me form Let's Heal,
hmm,
going through issues with his family, his ex-wife, his children, things like that. Um, and I realized that he wasn't healed. He had so much hate and negativity towards his own children. He would literally say out of his mouth, I hate my children and I hate my ex-wife. And I'm like, well, what did these people do to you for you to hate them?
hmm.
His children, of course, were adult children. And then I realized that he was the issue. So when he became, when I realized that, I said, you need to do some healing. And then
Mhm.
in turn, I was like, well, damn, Tyrell, you need to do some healing too, because there's some things that bother you. And when I first started was coming up with Let's Heal, I was saying, you heal. No.
Uh-huh.
I heal. No.
No.
We heal. No. Let's heal. Because I wanted to be inclusive. I didn't want anybody to be singled out. I didn't want anybody to feel like they were being picked on. Let
Mhm.
is a word that's inclusive. So when you say let's heal, it's inviting people to say, hey, I have, am, and will have to heal from something. So will you. So why not we do it together, progressively, positively moving forward? So that's
Mhm.
where heal came from. You know, and heal is something that, if you think about it, we've been healing before we even knew what the word heal was.
Mhm.
And healing is also pertinent to our growth. If you think about a baby, healing can be painful. We have to teeth in order to have teeth, in order to
Teeth.
consume the things that make us grow.
Right.
And when you look at a baby, they're crying because they're in pain. It's cutting skin. It's painful. And you want to take that pain away, but there's a process that they have to go through in order to survive. You got to be able to chew your food up.
Right.
And we didn't even know what that was. All we knew as babies is we were in pain and we needed some kind of relief.
And they
So
would give us that teething ring.
exactly. It didn't take it away. It didn't stop the process. It didn't slow it down because you had to go through it in order to get to a point where you can actually see the benefit of it.
Right.
So some of my very first promos, and it was crazy because I had all my cousins and I was like, I'm gonna come to your house, we're gonna have drinks, and we're gonna do all these Let's Heal promos. And
Uh-huh.
you'll kind of, think about these things because you have to forgive something or someone in order to really truly be ready to heal. So in the beginning of the promos, if you look on my YouTube page,
Mhm.
they were all in black and white. And all I had people say was, dear love, I forgive you. Let's heal. You
Mhm.
don't forget. Forgiveness does not mean forget. You never forget what something or somebody did to you, but you have to forgive it in order to apply it to your life, learn the lessons that you need to learn, and move forward. So
Mhm.
that's what Let's Heal is all about. It's about moving forward progressively, positively. And, like I always say, where it's all about love, life, and lessons, because basically that's what it is. One of my favorite singers, India Arie, says, the only thing constant in the world is change.
Change. Yes. Yep.
And if you the only thing you can do while you're living this life is be prepared for the change, because guess what? It's gonna happen with or without you.
Right. So do you find, as a life coach, do you find that people struggle with forgiving other people from their past or whatever negative experiences that they've had?
They do, because I feel like at the demise of all situations, whether it's a relationship or a job or anything, you have to go through the stages of grief.
Right.
There are 5 stages of grief, and anger is usually the second step. And people
Mhm.
are stuck right there at anger, because it's easy to be mad at somebody and not be bothered with them. Oh, forget this person. I don't want to be. It's easy to be mad at somebody, but you still got
Yep.
3 steps before you get to the whole point of grief where you can actually look back at the situation with peace and positivity. But if you never get to that point, you're always going to hold resentment and anger and not be able to forgive the situation so that you can move on to the next step. So be mad at it. It's okay. Be mad at it, but keep moving
Mhm.
forward. There's other steps you got to get to. So when I talk to my clients, I'm always like, okay, so what's going on? You know,
Mhm.
so I can figure out what stage they're in that grief process once I figure out what they're actually going through. So yeah, anger is definitely a roadblock. And a lot of people, you hear people say, well, I don't fool with this person because they did. And it's like, but that's them. You can't be mad at somebody for being them. You holding the grudge. These people out here living their life, minding their own ball-headed business. Like I always say, drinking ball-headed business. They're out here minding,
Uh-huh.
and you holding on to that. You being angry at somebody who probably don't even know you mad at them.
And that's the thing. But I get that in a lot of clients, like they're mad at people, and I'm like, it's really hurting you and not
Yeah.
the person, because they're probably moving on and not even thinking about you.
And even if you think about it, if you allow yourself a little bit of time, you might
Uh-huh.
not even remember why you was mad at that person in the first place.
Right.
But you still know I don't fool with this person. But why? I don't know. I just remember that I don't fool. They did something to me, and I just can't get past it. Okay, you got issues. So
Interesting. So what made you decide to write your book?
wow, the Let's Heal workbook.
Uh-huh.
So when I talk to people, I like the workbook is a lot of self-help, because I'm all about self. Like my concentration is emotional intelligence and positive psychology. I didn't
Okay.
want to go into the relationship realm. I didn't want to go into the financial realm. I didn't want to teach people how to stay together, because I feel like you should not be trying to be with anybody or being good to anybody else if you can't be good to yourself first.
Right. Right.
So, and I found that, I wasn't being good to, oh, there they are. There's a state: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. So,
Yep. We've talked
um,
about that on this show for so many times, but I like to pull it up. That's what I was looking for, but go ahead.
yeah. So, when I decided to write the book, gosh, this book has been, even though it's a workbook and it's a lot of space for you to actually write, I
Mhm.
had to get to a point of peace. Like I always say in a lot of my stuff, at this point in my life, I just turned 40 in December,
Mhm.
and I'm
Mhm.
at a point in my life where I'm on the corner of peace and happiness in my life. And I'm having a block party, and it's amazing. And I got some good food and some good energy and some good people around and all of those things. And
Mhm.
it did not come overnight. I don't care how many smiles, like I used to say it before. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, but what's going on behind the picture that really matters. Because you
Right.
can look at a person's picture and you say, oh, they look so happy the last time I saw them, or I saw this and I saw that, and this person commits suicide.
Suicide. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking about when you were saying that.
So how does somebody who appears to be happy be so bothered by stuff? A lot of it turns into, them not knowing themselves. And then, as I got into the whole dating situation, I
Mhm.
realized that people really truly did not know and still don't know who they are, because who you are has been paired with what you do. So
Mhm.
when I dates with people, they probably get bothered. That's probably why I'm still single to this day. Because usually one of the first questions I ask during the date is, "Tell me who you are." And before you go into telling me who you are, don't tell me what degree you have, what kind of
Uh-huh.
car you drive, what job you have, how much money you have, what fraternity or sorority you may belong to. Don't tell me anything that could be anybody. Tell me what
Right.
makes you an individual.
Do
And
they
there's
struggle?
a lot of people struggle with, who are you? And
Mhm.
that's why the book, I was like, okay, so here, okay, Tyrell, here's the need. You know, in order to have a productive business, you have to identify the need and solve a problem. Here's the problem. People don't know who they are. How do we solve that problem? We solve that problem by putting it in an easy enough workbook to where you can actually read it and want to continue to read it. It's actually a workbook. So it can't
Mhm.
be, oh, I read this book. Here you go. You know, you give it to somebody else.
Hey,
This
Kelly.
workbook is for individuals. So when you purchase the workbook, this is your work. This is your words. These are your plans. And there's a part in the book that I call is called SWOT Yourself. SWOT. It's a business module, but it applies to life. Strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Because I always tell people you should be able to tell your story. And then once you know your stories, all of those strengths, weakness, opportunities, and threats, it takes the power away from anybody who comes to you and tries to use your weakness as an opportunity for them to come in on you. So when somebody
Wow.
comes in, somebody picks on me and says, "Oh, Tyrell, you bald headed." Okay, I knew that. Now what?
Right. Tell me something I didn't know.
You took all your power away from me because you thought that you were going to control me and have me respond. You know, somebody who controls you, somebody who the person who angers you controls you. And I'm like, I can't be mad at you for saying something that I already know and that I've already said. Hell, I got a T-shirt that say "Drink your water and mind your own bald-headed business." I get up
Uh-huh.
every day and know that I'm bald-headed. So,
That's
so
funny.
yeah, when I created the book, I was just like, okay, it's either, I mean, it is what it is. And it's also a part of my legacy, just like Let's Heal is a part of my legacy. So I have learned to live in my legacy, you know, find
Mhm.
out what my calling is. Like I said before, finding somebody who is able to tap into their passion, tap into their calling so that they can say that they lived a fulfilled life. You know, you ever been to a funeral and somebody is there and you know this person, you know the person who's up there in their funeral that they're eulogizing,
Mhm.
and you hear all of the stuff that people are making up to make this person sound like a good person, and you sitting in the church pew like, this MF, he was not. You know, he was a liar, he was a thief, he was abusive, and oh my God, he was a great man. I was
Wow.
living a legacy because I always said if I died today, the legacy that I leave behind would be a truthful and positive one. So if somebody ever told you that Tyrell cussed you out, he probably
He
did.
he he did.
He
Mhm.
probably did. If Tyrell worked you out and because when I stopped teaching classes, I
Mhm.
was teaching. You know, I was like, I enjoy doing this. I'm just teaching. And then when I stopped teaching, I remember my last day of class, they had a party for me.
Uh-huh.
And literally had people upset and in tears because they said, Tyrell, you changed my life by helping me fall in love with working out, help in love with, you know, me falling in love with how important health and fitness is to me. And here I am just thinking that I'm just teaching. I'm
Yep.
just doing what I love to do.
I'm
I didn't
guilty of
realize that
that
I was
too.
touching all of y'all the way that I
Mhm.
was. Yeah, y'all show up in numbers. Y'all appreciate me. But hell,
Mhm.
I'm bouncing my energy off of y'all. So with me stopping, I didn't realize that I was doing what I was doing.
I get
So
that.
yeah.
Did you and so you didn't realize that the entire time, but
Yeah,
until you
I was just
stopped.
teaching. I was
Uh,
just teaching. I would just show up because at that point I needed to work out. I needed for it, and a lot of it was done because of my own health. You know,
mhm. Mhm.
and so now when I see people who are instructors, these new age instructors, and I'm like, why y'all just standing up here telling the people what to do? Ain't nobody moving. Ain't nobody do it because the aerobic instructor turns on. And I'm like, you should be doing this 8 count with them. And yeah, watching
Right.
form and breathing and stuff like that. Be here to teach people. Everybody don't want to be a twerk instructor.
Right.
You come into one of my classes and I'm about to be twerking. That's not going to happen. And I'm not knocking nobody for that because that's how they've become, you know,
Instructors.
successful, things
Right,
like
right,
that.
right. Right, right.
And they're changing with the times. But just know that if you ever come to a Tyrell class, you're gonna get straight instructor, learning about your breathing and your form and the tempo and the count, like even the 8 count. I went to school and got all those certifications, learning how to count music so that I know the up tempo and the down tempo
Right.
and every other one. So
Mhm.
falling in love with that, and then realizing that here I am just thinking I'm working out and I'm here touching people's lives. So I've
You're
been being
healing people.
exactly. I mean, and
Yeah.
I've been groomed for what I'm doing now since before I even understood what was going on. Like I started teaching aerobics classes 20 years ago,
Wow.
and I was being groomed and didn't even realize it. The universe had me
Wow.
already set up. We're gonna put you on this path. We know you don't like speaking, so we're gonna put you in front of 40 people 5 days a week. And because I'm hot natured, I sweat. They said we're gonna make it even easier. So then sweating is a part of your nervousness with your microphone because we got to groom you for this. So go on and give them the sweat, give them the microphone, and make it work.
Yep. You
So,
sound like me. I'm a sweater. So I wrote this question.
okay.
Um, where or when do you think people get sick? As sick as far as not physically sick, but like that they need to heal. When do you think that happens? Just for anybody that's out there. Does that make sense? That question?
I think I kind of understand this. So where do people get sick? Well, so here's the thing. I have a podcast called "Is This Baggage Even Mine?"
Mm.
And I think the sickness starts in how, when, where, and who you were raised by.
I
A lot of
agree.
times we hold on to things that are not even ours. Fear is a sickness. Anger is a sickness. So if you were brought in a house where everybody was yelling and angry, and something about you is going to be angry, and then you'd be like, well, why am I always so damn angry?
Right.
And then you look back or you go home and you're like, oh, my mom and daddy always yelling.
Yep.
And I had to learn how to identify those things, even as far as my interaction in the way that I thought about relationships and friendships and things like that. And I'm like, that's not how I think. This is how my mom thinks. My
Yep.
dad. Like, so that's baggage that, you remember that song Bag Lady by Erica by Dig It To?
Bag lady, you can see
And
me.
that song is basically about carrying other people's sickness as your own. Like you got the weight of your lineage's world on your back when this is not how you think. And then we fast forward to times now where we got people who are taking the bags back, but they don't even know who they are. So it's
Yep.
like, so a lot of people are going against, religion and going to church now, but it's like, okay, so where do you go? Because you have to have some kind of connection to a higher
Mm-hmm.
power. Everybody cares electric currents and everybody needs to move forward. Everybody needs to grow, stuff like that. So if you're taking that back and you going against this, where do you go now?
Right.
So
Right.
even still, I don't really tap into religion, and I don't want to be that life coach. I don't want people to say, well, when you come over here, we're going to talk about God. We'll talk about God. We're going to talk about the universe. We're going to talk about manifestation. We're going to talk about
Mm-hmm.
energy. We're talking
Mm-hmm.
about all those things because I feel like at this point in time, people need a sense of direction because everybody is healing from some kind of sickness that isn't physical. And when I first started Let's Heal, I had a lot of people, and nobody knew this, who would send me messages in my DM, and they would
Mm-hmm.
say, how dare you tell everybody that they need to heal? This Let's Heal thing that you're doing, everybody ain't hurt, everybody ain't broken. And I'm like, well, all I'm saying is let's heal. That's all I'm saying.
But that's an indication that they probably are broken, you know.
Exactly. And then,
And one thing I wanted to piggyback on something you said. So when I see clients, the first thing that I get them to talk about is their childhood and the way
yeah.
that they were raised and how did they communicate in the family. Because I
Mhm.
truly believe the way you solved problems when you were growing up, if there was no communication in the household, if parents and yelled at each other and there was no, you're bringing that into your adulthood and now it's creating problems for you. And so that's why I thought of that question of like where do people get sick? Because a lot of people don't realize that they need to be healed until they get in a relationship and the person is like, I really don't like you, or you know. So I
Yeah,
just wanted to piggyback.
how do you feel you find a lot of people who get into relationships or situationships, what I call them, because
Mm-hmm.
you're just in a situation, so because you can't be by yourself. Um,
Mm. Good point.
And it's like you develop that. You need somebody. You have to have somebody around. So you putting up with, because I mean, if you watch in my case, like my great grandparents,
Uh-huh.
great grandfather had a family down here and had one over here.
Oh.
And especially in the Black community, where it was like, you stick it out and you let them treat you like this, and you do this and you do that. And you meet somebody like me, and I'm like, fuck all that.
Right.
You ain't treating me right. You don't deserve me. So,
Right. Right.
now we're getting to that point where it's like, okay, so you need to be looking at the relationships that you had. And I'm also in the process now of doing, it's going to be a LetsHeal school. So I'm trying to plan that out and all of these things so I can help teach and do videos and stuff. But there's a chapter in my new self-help book that I'm going to have, and it's called Family First, or
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times we've been groomed and taught that you never do this to family, you never do that to family. But then you start looking at it, and it's like, a lot of times your family is the one who caused this trauma.
Yep.
Your family is the one who put this fear in you. Your family is this. And it's like, so is it really family first, or should we be putting ourselves first and then going back and helping those? Almost like
Right.
you become the Harriet Tubman of your family emotions.
Mm-hmm.
I done got over here and I'm healed and I'm doing good. So can I come back and pick you up so you can come back over here to healed and healthy? Because we can't let you be here.
Yeah. And I have a
And
lot of clients, they'll come in therapy, get the help that they need, and then go back and try to help their families, because
yeah,
that family is the root,
yeah.
usually is the root of their problems. And not saying that we're going to blame everything on the family, but you pick up a lot of stuff from
Bye,
your family.
Angela. She said she got to go.
All right, Angela. Angela says, appreciate your testimony. I have to go. Have a fantastic rest of the weekend. You too, Angela.
So yeah, with that, it's just like I had to go back and I had to look at the way that things were. Like I always tell people, and the easiest way for people when I meet people, as I'm talking to them and figuring out if I'm the right fit for them at that point in their life, I always tell people I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychiatrist. And the
Mm-hmm.
way you think about it is you talk to a therapist or a psychiatrist, psychologist from past to present. Life
Yep.
coach is more present to future. I can refer you to some people who can help you deal with those past things, because you're going to have to deal with those past. You don't get to sweep them under the rug or ignore them like they don't exist, because those things
Right.
are attached to you and they will follow and they will manifest themselves in your relationships as you move forward. So you got to go back and deal with that before you can come over here to me.
Yep. And that would be me to come to
Yes,
me.
exactly.
So does anybody have any questions out there? I see the numbers have went up. So if you have questions, go ahead and ask them. I'll post them on the front. I think I had another question.
Okay. I'm here for all the questions. Y'all know y'all better give me while y'all can, because I'm always going.
So I said, how did you heal yourself?
How did I heal myself? I stopped lying to myself. I
Okay.
stopped, I stopped acting like there was nothing wrong or that I was the perfect.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times I had to pay attention to how I was treating other people. There was a point in my life, I think maybe around 25, anywhere between
Mm-hmm.
20 and 30. And I realized that I was having a lot of negative interactions. Um, Kelly, I'll go back to that. But when right, there was a lot of negative things that was going on, because I always tell people you get back what you give out. Or
Yep.
yeah. So if you're giving it out, I had to pay attention. I was like, man, I'm getting a lot of negative responses and a lot of negative interaction. And I had to stop and say, well, the hell is going on? Is it
Mm-hmm.
me? A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times you ask that question of yourself, is it me? Because it could be, you could be the common denominator. And I realized it was me. I realized that I was treating people like a certain way. And I had to go back and I had to do the work, had to research and find people and apologize. I had to acknowledge my partner's situation,
Mm-hmm.
accept my responsibility to that situation, and
Mm-hmm.
then apologize for my part. Even if these people did not accept my apology, I did my due diligence to try to close that door, to offer some
Gotcha.
kind of closure. Because, at this point, yeah, you don't owe anybody any closure, and you may never get closure. But that person, if they value their energy, their responses, the things that move them forward, something's going to happen to where they have to bring them back to you full circle and apologize for what they did or how they treated you.
Right.
So,
But you made a good point because I found myself doing that now. Even I tell my clients all the time, I learn from them sometimes with what
mhm,
they
mhm,
bring to sessions. But I've been doing some self evaluation of like, what am I bringing to the table when I interact with people?
right.
You know, because I'm like you. I was getting I wasn't receiving what I thought I should be receiving from people when I interact with them. And then I was like, well, maybe it is me.
Well,
Maybe I need to heal.
yeah, yeah, and a lot of it is you because, like I said, you get back what you give, and
Mhm.
a lot of times we give stuff because that's what we're used to doing. We get through, we kind of gliding through life, and we're like, it's worked, so we're gonna keep doing this. It's almost like somebody
Autopilot.
exactly. It's like somebody and I've heard it before. They rest on pretty, and then it's like
Mhm.
pretty all your life. You done skated through life being pretty. And then when reality sets in and you walk into a room full of pretty people and you don't stand out anywhere, where do you make yourself an individual?
That's it right there.
So you can either be
Boom.
pretty or hurting pretty. You still gonna be pretty, but is it gonna be a positive or a negative situation? And that's all based on how you interact with it.
That's so true.
Yeah. So what are some good tips to get rid of fear?
Fear. Yep.
So fear, because I'm always paying attention to emotions, I always tell people you have to pay attention to your emotions based on the situation. So if something makes your heart race or any other bodily functions that are implementing fear, you have to pay attention to who, what, where, when, why that situation is going on.
A trigger.
Right. Be able to identify what those feelings and emotions are, like whether you sweat. Like when I get nervous, I sweat.
Me too.
If I'm too nervous, I'm gonna start stuttering. So then I'm like, okay, I need to breathe. Do I need to even be in this situation in the first place? Do I need to change this? Do I make because if I talk to people, I'm usually like, can we have a place that's a little cool and can we be sitting? Because if I'm standing, my knees gonna get weak. I'm gonna really get nervous because I'm gonna be so can we sit? I'm gonna be here.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be
Mhm.
nervous. I got to conquer this fear. And then you kind of just take it slow.
Mhm.
It's if I use me for speaking again, I usually do small groups and allow it to grow from there. Like you don't go having stage fright and standing out in front of a stage like you Beyonce, because you're not gonna get that show.
And see, in therapy, I do a lot of exposure therapy. Like I have
Yeah.
a guy he's scared to go to. He doesn't like going to clubs because he gets so
Mhm.
anxious and that fear. And so one of our things that we're going to do for a session is we're gonna first we talk about the club and what
Yeah.
happens when you go in there, and then once we get comfortable with that, and we've talked about exposure therapy on here, and but then once he gets comfortable with talking about it, then one day we'll introduce walking in the door and then come
Yeah.
out real quick. And so that's kind of what you're saying, introducing that thing in small doses until,
Exactly.
yeah. Okay.
Until you get comfortable with it, until okay, I've had enough. I can go into this place and when enough is enough. So 6 months ago, I couldn't even think about walking past this place. Now here
Hmm.
I'm standing in, enough is enough. It
Right.
doesn't have to become an obsession. You don't have to change it in order to say, I've conquered this fear. But you can't
Hmm.
say, I did it because, nothing, the only thing that beats fear is a try. You can say, I tried it.
Hmm.
So now you can, yeah, I don't fear it anymore. I at least tried it. And when I tried it, I don't like it.
Okay.
So,
So your big tip is first identify what is
mhm,
creating that fear and why you're
mhm,
so fearful of that thing or
yeah,
situation. Okay.
yeah. And then go little by little, whatever that fear is, even if it's communicating. I think
Hmm.
people have a lot of fear when it comes to communication. I also have a podcast called The Three C's: consistency, consideration, communication. Um,
Let me post your podcast. You sent it to me earlier. Go ahead.
yeah.
Oh, go
So
ahead.
when you communicate, you have to identify your communication style. A lot of times people don't know how to talk about a lot of things because they've never been talked to. So you have to identify who's talking to you, how they're talking to you, how you talk to yourself. Because a lot of times we identify and we understand easier when we are surrounding ourselves with people who talk to us like us.
Mm-hmm.
So communication, yeah. I don't want to go too far into that. What was the next question?
Hold on,
How
I'll put it up.
at the decision of making your book a workbook? So I decided to make it a workbook because I felt like I needed something more than just a reading utensil. Because we got plenty of reading things, we
Right.
got plenty of video things, but when you
Mm-hmm.
actually write stuff down, almost like it's a manifestation journal. In order to manifest something, it took me all the way back to elementary. You remember when we used to have to do our 10 spelling words and then go home and write them 10 times,
Yep.
and we remembered it.
Yep.
We manifested a positive grade when we passed that spelling bee because we had to write it a couple times. So I realized, as much as I do not like writing, I remember things because I wrote it. I saw my handwriting. I connected with the words. It caused me to think. It caused me to take me out of, this is what I feel. You can talk about those things, but until you actually sit down and write it, you're really not thinking it. Like, it comes out quickly. But when you write it down, like, even when people are writing in their journal, when they have journals, I tell my clients, and I'm like, it's your journal.
Right.
Write it the way that you understand it. So even
Mm-hmm.
if it sounds like gibberish for somebody else to read, it ain't their business to understand it. This is your journal.
Right.
Write it for you. Write it how you understand it so that you can interpret it when you go back and reread it. I've been
Mm-hmm.
journaling since I was 15. So I have a lot of journals, and I go back and I read stuff, and it helps you understand where you've come from, because you're really not going to appreciate where you are so you can see and understand where you've come from.
Come from. Yep.
So
That's it.
that's why I decided to make it a workbook. And I decided to do that because I didn't want it to be, like I was saying before, something that you say, oh, I read this, here you go, take it. I need people to have their own individual journals in order to learn their individuality.
Yep. And there's something about getting it out of your head and putting it on paper that
Definitely.
that helps. And to get that workbook, I'm putting up the
Yes.
link there.
Yes. You can purchase it on Amazon too. So it's all on the website. But yeah, the workbook, I just was like, I need to do something that offers a tool to help people on the journey of healing. So even if nobody ever does, listens to, watches, participates in anything dealing with Tyrell Starks or Let's Heal,
Mm-hmm.
you will at least have this workbook that you can always reflect back to 10 years from now, where it's like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is where I was at that point in time when I first purchased this book. And I haven't even picked this book up, but things tend to happen when and how they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
You can lose your book, and 10 years from now, you may be moving something and that book pop out of somewhere. And it's like, what, let me read this and see where I was. And it just does something to you psychologically to see that you've progressed past or beyond where you thought these things were. Like every year at the beginning of the year, I do a vision board, and hell, sometimes even halfway through the year, I do a revamp of my vision board because things have moved so quickly that I'm like, I need to continue to move forward because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize what was going on. I manifested this at the beginning of the year. Here it is, and I wasn't even paying no attention, but here it is. I wrote it
Right.
down,
Right.
and you forget. I don't remember I wrote that down, but here it is. It's already here. Now, what's the next goal?
So are you planning on like doing a group with this like workbook? Because I think that's a good idea. I mentioned
And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I have my Let's Heal social groups, and I actually was going to do. I was trying to figure out if I wanted to do the Let's Heal workbook social group event, the next one, um,
Mm-hmm.
or if I wanted to do something else. But because I'm also researching and going, because I've gone through a breakup and divorce and things like that, and that
Mm-hmm.
my life, I've been presented with a lot of people who have just ended or are currently going through divorce. And I'm like, we all have to figure out the aftermath after the
After,
relationship is
yep.
over.
It's
Because
almost bringing those 5 stages of grief back into
exactly,
a relationship.
because you don't want to get stuck in anger, and then you look down on relationships, and you don't want to be vulnerable enough to open up, because that takes time, it takes emotion, it's stressful, it's work. It doesn't have to be hard work. I always tell people, relationships are always work. Anytime you bring in two people together,
I
it's
say
always
that
going
all
to
the
be work.
time. Yep.
But it doesn't have to be hard work. We make it hard work.
Yep.
So
I love that. Yep.
So yeah,
Any
be on
more?
the for the Let's Heal social group with the workbook. Definitely that's
You know,
coming.
that's the therapist in me is like this would be a good group,
Yeah, yeah.
therapy group.
I think I might have to do that. We're gonna go section by section with the workbook. I think I might do that.
Yeah.
Look at that. There's the next 6 months of my social groups right there.
Because all you have to do is, yep, is each week do a section of your book. People would
Yeah,
love that.
yeah,
Kelly
definitely.
says, love the energy.
Thank you, Kelly. When I tell you, my energy comes from a peaceful place. You know what I'm saying? Like when I learned what peace and happiness meant to me and understanding that my peace and my happiness is my responsibility, I appreciated it more. When I stopped
Yes.
looking for other people to make me happy or other people to bring me peace, and I started meditating, I was like, I'm peaceful. I'm happy. Like when people see me online and they're like, you would think that you live this amazing life. I'm like, I live in a small one-bedroom apartment with
Right.
my own bald-headed business, and I don't bother nobody, and I'm peaceful and happy.
Yep.
But that energy that you put out, when somebody is genuinely peaceful and happy, you feel it, you see it, you want to experience it. So, you know,
So, Kelly, what's your problem? You said. I
yeah,
think that's my problem at times. What is that? And you know what? I just recently, and everybody will see on my social media page, I recently started going to the movies by myself because I told my clients, I always teach them self care. When you start to know yourself and love yourself, the only way you're going to do that is start to doing things by yourself.
very true. I mean,
And
because
so,
if you're not treating
mhm,
yourself good, how you expect somebody to come into your life and treat you good if you don't know what that feels like?
right,
When somebody comes into my life, I'm always like, I don't need you to pay for me to go to dinner because I go to dinner by myself all the time.
myself. Yep.
See, and I love I'll go to the movies by myself in a minute. I love going to some bistro, order me a drink and some food, and sit back in that movie. Who you go with? By myself.
Myself. But you know what? I get so many DMs like, "Why didn't you tell me you were?" And I'm like, I just wanted to go by myself.
Yeah,
I'm
Kelly,
starting to
yeah,
join.
you gotta date yourself. You have to learn how to date yourself. You have
Yeah,
to create value for yourself because if you have value in yourself, you're not gonna allow somebody to come into your life and half-ass it. You're not
there
gonna
you
allow.
go. There you go. Hey sis, my sister just joined. Hey.
Hey, how are you? So you have to be able to like create value for yourself. You know what I'm saying? This is your time, and time is something that we can never get back. We can never relive another second. And if you waste time with somebody who is bringing you down or causing negativity in your life, you have allowed that person to waste time. People can only do to you what you allow them to do.
Yep.
You can't change somebody from being who they are. All you can do is identify who that person is, and you can move forward and you can be that person. Like I always tell people, I get from a reservoir. And when I meet people, my only expectation is respect. So you'll never hear me tell somebody, "Oh, my partner's never going to cheat on me. My partner's never going to lie to me." No, I don't. You'll never hear me say that because that's another human being. I'm not here to control you.
Right.
I don't control you. My only expectation is respect. So if you do cheat or lie or anything like that, you have just disrespected me.
And Daphne, I think you're trying to say something. How do you protect your peace? Is that get back to us on that? I think
Yeah,
that's what you're saying.
yeah. So when I tell people when it comes to learning about yourself, um, I get from a reservoir, and I was
Hmm.
just talking about that on my podcast when we were talking about rejection. I use the analogy when you use two pitchers like Kool-Aid pitchers, um, you fill those pitchers up. One
Hmm.
is for you. That's your peace, your happiness, things like that. Then once that pitcher is full, then you put the extra in your reservoir. And that's where you give to people. That's the energy you give to people, the conversation you give to people, the emotions you give to people. Because if you're giving from a reservoir and somebody else is giving from a reservoir, that reservoir never goes empty because it's constantly being refilled while you maintain your
Right. Yep.
fullness by yourself.
Hmm.
So
Mhm.
whether somebody is there, it becomes a want. I want you to be here. I don't need you to be here. When you need somebody in your life, that means that your picture is your self picture is being depleted. So you need somebody to fill that up. I don't need nobody to fill my picture right now. I'm in the want. I want you to be here. I don't need you to be here.
Exactly.
So once that reservoir is depleted, I got to cut you off because now you're about to compromise my peace, my happiness. Like she was saying, how do you protect your peace and happiness? You keep yourself full. So then that way, if somebody comes and they come empty, we ain't got no. I can't pour from me into you. You ain't got nothing to offer me.
Right. And see, some people think that's harsh when you cut people off like that, but I'm like, no, you really have to protect your peace
You
because
have to.
there are people out there that that's what they do. They come to steal your peace. That may be why they were placed in your life and your journey at that time. And so if you're not protecting your peace, they're going to come and steal it. And then you're
We
in a whole chaotic relationship. And this goes for friendships and um
family and everything.
romantic family, all of that
Yeah,
stuff.
it like she said, self-preservation, and a lot of times you have to be able to identify those things before they turn you into energy vampires, leeches
Yep.
of life. I call them leeches of life. Um,
Leeches of life. I like that too.
so, um, you have to be able to identify those things because going back to when I first got married, me
Mhm.
and my ex-husband, we were drug addicts to each other's pain.
Like trauma bonds. See, we
Oh
talked about
yeah,
trauma bonds on here.
oh yeah, oh yeah. It 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 uh it was bad, and I have
Mhm.
to be able to identify my part as accepting that in order to
Mhm.
grow from that. Because I was
Mhm.
like, okay, how do we grow love from here? How do we build a relationship from here? We can't.
Mhm.
Somebody's got to change. Something has to change. And that's exactly what happened. And that was where the demise started because I was like, oh, that was your question. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, Terrell.
um, so
We
yeah,
got you there.
we got to identify those things. And like I said before, a lot of it can come from, if you watch somebody and you see when they get around their mom and they turn into a little bitty kid again. And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, so what kind of control is this? You know, I always tell, when I with my parents, I understand my mom is my mom and I respect her
Mhm.
as a mother. My dad is my dad and I respect him as my dad. But
Mhm.
we all have this bond called respect for each other as adults
Mhm.
because I'm an adult now. I'm never going to disrespect them as an adult or my parents, but they also understand that I'm an adult now too. I have an opinion, I have a voice, and I like to be heard too. You
Mhm.
have some people to say, "Oh, I'm not going to say that to my mom," or "I can't have that conversation with my mom about," and then they wonder why their life is all screwed up or why their girlfriend feels like, "Oh, your mother is controlling everything because you ain't put your mom in her place." Or
Right.
girls compare their dad. It's a whole it's crazy. We can talk about this all night.
And my sister says acknowledgement is the key to deliverance.
Exactly. You got to acknowledge what's going on, and I think a lot of times, I, another podcast, my 5 A's. I have acknowledgement is part of that. That's a big part of it. Acknowledge, accept, apologize, and I forget the other two right now. So many
Mhm.
podcasts going on, but there
I see. See?
I'm always talking about something. So you got to be able to acknowledge what's going on and not lying to yourself. I think, like I said before, the transparency to self is most important as you get older.
Yep.
You have to be able to say your part in the situation. And even if you were not the cause of the demise of a situation, you still played a part in it. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? There was a sign that you ignored, or the way that they made you feel that you ignored. That was your part in it. People can only treat you the way you allow them to treat you. If you don't check them when they first treat you wrong, then
You
that's
allow
your
it.
key. Right. You allowing
Yeah.
that. And that gives them,
Mhm.
oh, well, I can treat them that way anyway. And then you 5 years down the line and they're treating you like shit. And you wonder, well, where did this come from? Oh, this happened 5 years ago.
Right. Communication. I tell people the biggest three things in relationships, the biggest three issues is communication, trust, and boundaries. people
Yeah.
crossing boundaries. There's no trust in the relationship, and then the lack of communication. But the lack of communication is the big thing.
Because people
Yeah.
don't know how to really communicate with each other. So instead of learning how to communicate, they usually shut down.
Yep.
And then you have a lot of people who are walking around with their I shoulda, coulda, woulda said to somebody when all you have to do was sit down and have this conversation and make sure it's because it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
How? Right. It's
And a
the
lot of
delivery.
times, right, people want to just say stuff and it comes out angry. And if you know that you have that kind of
Personality.
issue or right
Mm-hmm.
personality, that you need to be able to say, let me check myself, but we need to talk about something.
Yep.
So
That's a
yeah,
lot.
it is. It is. It's so much, and Let's Heal is just that. It's a lot because, on my YouTube series, I also had to help
Mm-hmm.
identify or understand that healing means something different to everybody. And just like you said before with the definition of healing in the Webster dictionary, yeah, we all read that definition, but we have to understand what healing means to ourselves
Ourselves. Right.
in order to know if we're truly healed or healing. You got to know what that means to you, what it looks like, and it's going to change. So
Mm-hmm.
in the YouTube What Does Healing Mean to You series, I give people an opportunity to come on and say what healing means to them so that other people can hear. And that's where the let's come in at, because you might identify with somebody else's definition of healing because it's all healing and it's inclusive. Nobody's single,
Mm-hmm.
nobody's right or wrong because everybody is what? An individual.
Right.
So
And everybody has that different, like you said, everybody has that
definition.
different
So
definition.
if y'all have an opportunity, make sure y'all go over to the YouTube channel, the Let's Heal YouTube channel, or even on the website. It's on the website, and the tab is called "What Does Healing Mean to You?" and it'll take you to all 5 of the series. And it's an ongoing series, so if you want to participate in that and tell me what your definition of healing is, we definitely want those videos because that's all part of the documentary and part of the "What Does Healing Mean to You" series. Is part of the Let's Heal brand because there are so many different things that the word healing is connected to.
Too. Right.
And I'm only one person. And I'm, doing what I was put here to do and touching as many people as I can. And if you want to listen to it, then so be it. If you want to
Right.
participate, I'm here for it. I want if it was up to me, we would all be walking around happy and peaceful all the time. But guess what?
Exactly.
That's not life. And that's why when I designed the
Mm-hmm.
logo is a yin and a yang, and there's a lotus flower over the yin and the yang because yin and yang, of course, is bad and good,
Good.
and the
Mm-hmm.
lotus flowers only grow in through the mud.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get dirty, and you got to be, sometimes that's the soil from the mud grows something beautiful. So just because you're at a place in your life where exactly you got to have balance, and
Mm-hmm.
you might be in a place in your life where you might feel like you're below or you're dirty or something like that, but you're a lotus flower in there. Everybody should be peaceful. Everybody should be happy. And since your peace and happiness is your responsibility, you being unhappy should not be somebody else's responsibility.
Responsibility. It's all on you.
Yeah.
And so that's your website that's up, right, Tyrell?
Yeah.
Let's.
LetsHeal.com. That is the website. So everything is there. The t-shirts, the bracelets, the books, the series, everything is there. Yeah, and I'm happy and proud of the things that I've done. So yeah,
Yes, and it's your calling, like we were talking about earlier. So thank
yeah,
you. Any more questions for Tyrell? We almost at an hour. We've
yeah.
been talking,
Right. We
y'all.
done zoomed through this.
So
Yes.
thank you. If you get a chance, go on his website, order this workbook. So, and if you want to start a group and join the group that I think Tyrell should set up.
I am.
Um, yeah, I'll purchase our books and then we get into this group and
Yeah.
with him we work through this
Yes.
workbook. I think
Definitely.
that's a good idea because I think a lot of people don't realize that they are sick, that they
Yeah.
do need some
Yeah.
type of healing, and I think they look for the healing in other people, but you actually can heal yourself once, like my sister said, once you acknowledge that there is something wrong, then you can begin to start to heal. But yes,
And when we say healing, it does not mean that it's torn down or completely broken or damaged completely. Like we're all like, even now, even in my happiness, nothing's constant but change. So I'm still healing from things. You know,
right.
I have my good days, I have my bad days, and on those bad days are the days that I need to heal and reflect and pay attention to what I need to be learning and going back to my peace and happiness. So yes.
Yeah.
So she had, yes, please, Karen, buy the book. Kelly, you know, as a matter of fact, I'm trying to
You
get,
put
I'm looking at some dates, and we will definitely have the group, the Let's Heal Workbook Journal group. Yeah.
Tyrell, I'm adding more stuff to your plate, like like people do to me
Yeah,
all the time. I'm like,
but you know, like I
but
said,
there's a big message that I see, and there's
oh yeah,
bigger things that I see for you, and so
yeah.
that's
But
why
I
I'm
put it on my vision board at the beginning of the year. I said, you know, universe, God, expand my territory with Let's Heal. And wherever you say go and whatever you say talk about, I'm doing it. Situations. There's a lot of situationships out there.
But this was so great. You know, all the guests that I've been having, we have been learning so much
Yeah.
from all of our guests. So I really appreciate. I'm glad we finally got on
Yeah.
the same show. You
Jeez. After
know,
all these years.
but you remind me of myself because you're so busy and you're
Yeah.
into doing things that are helping people.
Yeah.
And when you talked about like teaching aerobic classes, you didn't realize how much that you were helping them beyond just the act of physically working out, but healing. You actually started your passion a long time ago and probably didn't even realize
I
that
didn't
you
even
were doing
realize that I was being groomed for this moment right now. I've been
that.
being groomed for this forever. So
Yeah,
yeah. Yes,
yeah.
thank you, Karen. I appreciate it. She's so proud of you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, any more questions before we end the show? We've came to our hour. I know y'all want your Friday evenings back.
Right.
But thank you, Tyrell, for coming on the show. Thanks everybody for joining this Friday evening. Like usual, we have another guest next week. I can't remember who it is because I'm
Yeah.
constantly busy. So, um, yeah, we'll see y'all next week. And if you make sure you go to Tyrell's page, follow him, order the book from Amazon or his website, which I'm going to put back up before we leave. And that's it.
See y'all later. Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate y'all, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the Let's Heal group or even
Yes.
the conference. I thought about a Let's Heal conference and inviting all of my friends to come in. We all speak. It's like a weekend thing. I thought about that.
Oh,
So
that's a cool idea as well.
yeah, definitely.
Good idea. Okay. So there's the website I put up there. So we'll close with that on there. So make sure you share this video so people can go back and look at it, and all the links and stuff are on there. So if you need to contact Tyrell, please do. Make sure support, support, support,
Yes.
and have a good night. And I will talk to y'all later.
Bye.